I glanced at my reflection in the glass walls of our open office space, adjusting my posture at my standing desk. At 32, I felt more settled than ever, despite the constant buzz of Silicon Valley life around me. My sister Emma and I are 3 years apart, but watching her march through the office in her designer heels and perfectly tailored blazer, you'd think we were from different planets entirely. Did you see the latest TechCrunch article about Emma's startup? A coworker whispered as she passed by. Another round of funding, apparently. I nodded absently, my mind drifting to our mother Diana's latest Instagram post celebrating Emma's success. At 29, Emma had already achieved what most people only dream of: CEO of her own startup, Yale degree on the wall, and a carefully curated image of success that our mother never tired of sharing. Meanwhile, I had carved out my own path as a project manager at one of the top tech companies, earned my Stanford degree through scholarships, and built a life I was genuinely proud of. The favoritism hadn't changed since childhood. If anything, it had gotten worse with age. Diana, now a successful investor herself, had always treated Emma like a delicate flower that needed constant nurturing. I suppose that's why, even now, as a startup CEO worth millions on paper, Emma still acts like she's entitled to everyone's undivided attention and support. Marie? The team's waiting for the sprint planning meeting, my assistant called, snapping me back to reality. I gathered my laptop, pushing thoughts of family dynamics aside. The irony wasn't lost on me. At work, I was known for my logical thinking and ability to manage complex projects, but family? That was a different kind of complexity altogether. Meeting room, later that morning. I was wrapping up my presentation when the first wave of nausea hit me. Standing in front of the project timeline displayed on the sleek conference room screen, I tried to maintain my composure while my stomach churned uncomfortably. "Great overview of the Q4 deliverables, Marie," our CTO commented, but his voice seemed distant as I gripped the edge of the modern glass table. The meeting concluded, and I barely made it to the bathroom in time. As I splashed cold water on my face, the door swung open, and of all people, Emma walked in, her Louboutin heels clicking against the marble floor. Marie, her perfectly manicured hand paused mid-air. "Are you okay? You look different." I straightened up, meeting her eyes in the mirror. The irony of this moment wasn't lost on me. Here I was, about to share news that would change everything, in the corporate bathroom of all places. "I'm fine," I managed, but my phone chose that exact moment to betray me. In my haste to check my calendar, I accidentally opened my photos, specifically the image of my positive pregnancy test from this morning. Emma's sharp intake of breath told me she'd seen it before I could lock my screen. Her expression shifted from concern to something more complex: shock, envy, and forced happiness, all competing for dominance. "Oh my God," she whispered, her carefully maintained composure cracking slightly. "You're pregnant?" Later that day, executive floor. The news spread through the office like a tech rumor before a product launch. I could feel the stares and whispers as I made my way to my next meeting. Emma had disappeared into her corner office, and within hours, my phone lit up with a FaceTime call from our mother. Diana's face appeared on my screen, perfectly made up as always, framed by the window of her penthouse office. "Marie, sweetheart, Emma just told me the news." Her tone was measured, but I could see the calculation behind her eyes. The same look she got when evaluating a potential investment. Video call with Diana. "I don't think this is the right time for a pregnancy," Diana stated, her voice crisp through my AirPods. Behind her, I could see her collection of modern art, carefully curated symbols of success that she'd always used to remind us of her expectations. "I wasn't aware I needed your approval for my family planning," I replied, closing my office door for privacy. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across my standing desk, where my project timelines and baby planning spreadsheets sat side by side on my laptop. Don't be difficult, Marie. You know Emma and David have been trying. They've been working with the top fertility specialists in the country. Her perfectly manicured hand adjusted her designer glasses. Your sister's startup is at a crucial stage. The last thing she needs is to see her older sister pregnant when she's struggling. I felt my jaw clench. So you're suggesting I should terminate my pregnancy because Emma might feel bad? I'm suggesting you consider the timing. Emma's mental health is fragile right now, between the Series B funding rounds and the fertility treatments. She paused, her voice taking on that manipulative softness I knew too well. Couldn't you just wait? The audacity of her request hit me like a badly timed system crash. Let me get this straight, I said, my PM voice slipping out, the one I used when dealing with impossible client demands. You want me to terminate a wanted pregnancy with my husband in my stable marriage because it might affect Emma's startup performance. WooWork common area. Later, I chose to work from a different location the next day, needing space from the office gossip. The WooWorks common area buzzed with the familiar sound of startups being born and dying. But all I could think about was my mother's impossible request. My phone kept lighting up with notifications. Emma's latest startup victory plastered across LinkedIn. My mother's not-so-subtle Instagram stories about supporting family through difficult times. And finally, a text from my father James, the retired Stanford professor who'd always been our voice of reason. Text exchange. I stared at my father's message, his academic preciseness evident even in text. Your mother told me about the conversation. Don't let her manipulation affect your decisions. Your pregnancy is your business. Dad. The notification drawer showed missed calls from Emma and several passive-aggressive messages from my mother. Just saw another article about Emma's innovations in TechCrunch. She's under so much pressure. The fertility specialist says stress impacts success rates. Remember when you were kids and you always protected her? 4 months later, tech conference. The news about my pregnancy eventually spread through the tech community like a viral tweet. I was showing now, my blazer no longer hiding the bump as I presented our quarterly results at the conference. Emma was there too, her startup's booth drawing crowds. We maintained a professional distance, exchanging polite nods across the conference hall. But everything exploded when Tech Insider published a profile on Silicon Valley's success sisters, contrasting our different paths to success. The comment sections filled with speculation about our relationship, forcing both our PR teams into damage control. That's when Emma and my mother decided to show up at my house. Home office, evening. I was reviewing code commits when the smart doorbell alert showed their faces on my phone screen. Emma in her signature power suit, our mother in Chanel, both wearing expressions that spelled trouble. We need to talk about the family situation, my mother announced as they entered, her eyes scanning my home office setup, notably less impressive than Emma's featured in Architectural Digest workspace. Living room, confrontation. This isn't a board meeting you can control, Mom, I said, settling into my ergonomic chair while they perched uncomfortably on my minimalist sofa. And my pregnancy isn't a PR crisis to manage. Emma's fingers twitched toward her phone, her stress tell since our childhood. Marie, you don't understand. My investors are watching everything. The headlines about Silicon Valley's success sisters are affecting our family reputation. Family reputation? I couldn't help but laugh. You mean your carefully curated public image? Diana leaned forward, her Cartier bracelet catching the light. Your sister's company is at a crucial stage. These personal distractions. My baby is not a personal distraction. I cut in, my product manager voice taking over. And I'm not one of your portfolio companies to optimize. You've always been like this, Emma burst out, her CEO composure cracking. So logical, so cold. Do you know what it's like trying to conceive while running a company? While everyone watches your every move. The fertility treatments, the pressure. Her voice broke, and I saw the sister behind the startup founder facade, the one who'd always crumbled under our mother's expectations. Per se restaurant. The next evening, the situation escalated to a family meeting at Per se, Diana's choice, naturally. The private dining room felt like a pressure cooker, with Emma Stress sipping champagne and our mother checking her Apple Watch every few minutes. Your sister just wants to be part of your child's life, Diana said between courses, as if we were negotiating a merger. After you suggested I terminate this pregnancy, I set down my water glass harder than intended. After you prioritized her public image over my family, restaurant confrontation continues. The sommelier hovered uncertainly at the edge of our private room as Emma downed another glass of champagne, her carefully maintained CO image slipping. You know what? Emma's voice rose slightly, drawing concerned glances from the wait staff. You've always had it easier. No investor expectations, no pressure to maintain a perfect image. Just your comfortable PM job and your perfect life. I felt my tech-cultivated patience finally snap. Easier? I worked through college on scholarships while you had a fully funded ride. I built my career from internships up while mom bankrolled your startups. Girls, Diana interjected, her investor mask slipping. This isn't productive discourse. And now, I continued, my voice controlled but sharp. You're both here trying to make me feel guilty about my pregnancy because it doesn't fit your perfect narrative. Emma's hand shook as she reached for the champagne again. You have no idea what it's like. The fertility treatments, the doctors saying there's no clear reason, the board meetings where everyone expects perfection. At least I'm going to have a child, I said, immediately regretting the words. Unlike you, who's so focused on appearances that you've made your whole life a Silicon Valley performance. The silence that followed was deafening. Emma's face went white, her startup founder, composure completely shattered. She stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. You're just like your metrics and KPIs, she spat out. All logic, no heart. I hope your child doesn't inherit that. Aftermath. Next morning. By the time I reached my office the next day, Emma had already posted a lengthy LinkedIn article about toxic family dynamics in tech. Our mother had followed up with an Instagram story about supporting mental health in high-pressure industries. My phone buzzed with a message from my father. They're both wrong. Focus on your family, the one you're building. The tech world will always have its drama. 1 week later, tech news fallout. The Silicon Valley ecosystem buzzed with barely concealed gossip. TechCrunch had picked up the story, running a piece titled Family Dynamics in Startup Culture, When Personal and Professional Collide. The comment sections were a battlefield of opinions about women in tech, family obligations, and startup culture. I maintained radio silence, focusing on my projects and my pregnancy. But Emma and Diana had other plans. Their social media campaigns had evolved into a full PR offensive, carefully crafted posts about family misunderstandings and the pressure of success. Home office evening. A notification popped up on my laptop. A direct message from David, Emma's husband. I need to tell you something off the record. Emma's not coping well. The fertility specialists have recommended taking a break, but with the company's current growth phase. I've never seen her like this. The message continued. Look, what you said at Percent was harsh, but I get it. Emma's always had everything handed to her, and Mom's enabler syndrome hasn't helped. Just keep this between us. 2 weeks later, company all hands. The news dropped during our quarterly all hands meeting. Emma's startup, despite its glossy PR, was struggling. The latest funding round had fallen through, and rumors of leadership issues were circulating. My father called that evening. Emma's moved back home. Diana's spinning it as a strategic retreat to focus on personal growth. But, well, David's filed for divorce. The pressure finally cracked everything. Final scene: my apartment. Looking out over the San Francisco skyline from my apartment, I rubbed my growing belly thoughtfully. My phone showed another missed call from Diana, probably another attempt at damage control. Instead of returning it, I opened my laptop and began typing. Dear Emma, success in Silicon Valley isn't just about funding rounds and TechCrunch headlines. Sometimes it's about knowing when to step back.